We will now call the legislation committee to order. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd,
Aye. I'm sorry, present.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderman Coder,
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Martin,
Present.
Alderwoman Navarro,
Present.
Alderwoman Mitchell,
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Here.
Chairman Vollmer,
Present.
President Reed.
Here.
10 present, you have quorum.
Thank you, Sharita. We will now move for approval of the minutes from October 14th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes.
Second.
Second.
Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderman Coder,
Aye. Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
thank you, Alderwoman Martin,
Present. I mean, aye. Sorry.
Alderwoman Navarro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Vollmer,
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye.
11 aye votes.
Thank you very much, Sharita. We'll hold excused Alderman until the end of the meeting. We'll now proceed back to our discussion of Board Bill 101. And first of all, we rescheduled the meeting from last week. We were having problems getting the software going. I believe that we have it up, and that's what tomorrow's meeting will be about. Today, we're going to just kind of do an overview of things. First of all, I'd like to hear from Alderwoman Navarro, Martin, and Davis's committee as far as the personnel information you've been able to obtain. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we just received and started diving into kind of a survey of other cities looking at their the salary structures and staffing for their legislative bodies. And we haven't had a chance to dive into it completely yet, but I wanted to just go over some highlights. I mean, one thing that we are seeing, and we are looking particularly at cities, we're looking at their population, we're looking at the number of representatives they have on the board, looking at how many people they represent, so per capita representation, and then also looking at cities that don't necessarily have a city manager style. So, similar to us in terms trying to hone in on the role that the legislators play. And one thing is, we're not really seeing very strong correlations between population and salary, between per capita representation and salary, and there's really not a strong correlation between the number of representatives and the population. So it's kind of all over the board. So really the next step is to kind of narrow this down to kind of a cohort of cities that we can say are most similar to St. Louis. And we are seeing quite a range. I mean, everything from the representatives in Colorado Springs are earning $6,200 a year to Boston, San Francisco, Seattle, who are all over 100,000. But I think when we start to look at cities like, Pittsburgh, St. Paul, Milwaukee, Kansas City, Lexington, we really are kind of able to narrow in on a range that's kind of, I think, more similar to ours. I mean, everything from 42,000 to 75,000. But we really want to just dig into that a little bit more and maybe even have some conversations with some of these other city council members just to be able to identify more how similar is their role to what the role is of an alderperson in the city of St. Louis. So really those are kind of the next steps, is to dig into this list a little bit more, talk to some of those representatives in other cities, and then also start looking at staffing. Staffing is even more kind of all over the place. But one thing we are really seeing is that most legislatures that are the size of ours with a population like ours have dedicated staff. And that is one thing that we are seeing consistently. So we'll be excited to report more now that we've got some data to dig into. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, and Alderman Boyd, the committee of one, how's our neighborhood breakdown going as far as strongest to weakest and where we're at?
Well, the president's office has actually been doing some really good due diligence. I have some information from them. I've requested my colleagues send their strongest neighborhoods to me, or just neighborhoods period, and contacts. I haven't gotten a lot of feedback from that. So I will send out another one today, requesting that information. But so far, so good.
All right, thank you, sir. Because as we stated from the beginning of this thing, once we meet all our legal parameters, saving and keeping neighborhoods whole is, going to be our main priority. So, and not just neighborhoods, but neighbors, where there's been some strange lines drawn in the past, where all of a sudden you feel like you should be in the same ward and you're not because of some silly line drawn a long time ago. So that's going to be our focus. I'm going to call on you, Mr. President. You have some things for us today.
Yes, I want to really thank the IT department and also, our staff, particularly our, clerk and Lisa and all those, everyone that worked so hard to get the software up and running for us. The city of St. Louis, especially in today's age, has to really keep their firewall nice and tight. Otherwise, we see all kinds of break-ins happen. We've all received those emails from various different elected officials and other aldermen that say, "Hey, I'm out of town. Can you help me with some money?" Right? So to keep those types of things from happening regularly, the IT department has had to really tighten up its firewall. So when you install the software on the local network, part of what it has to do is communicate back to servers on its sides to validate the licensing and all of those things. So IT department, everybody's got all those things ironed out. We now have the software installed, everything's operational, ready to go. So I'm excited about that. And tomorrow we will dive, really deep into depth on the software and cover some things related to it. The other thing is, Mr. Chairman, when we drew the map the last time, one of the things I was looking at it, and one of the things that worked really well for us is to set up a situation where the various different older people had to work together, right? This is a much different situation because we're looking at 50% of the aldermen being unseated this round. But I think what we still should do is to put in place a very similar, process. And one of the ways that can work is if you as a chairman establish, 1, 2, or 3 working groups from the committee. So you can have a north, if you had it in 2 groups, you can have a north central group and a south central group, because we know that right through that central corridor, there's going to be a lot of pressure and a lot of things that have to, we're going to have to look at in all of the wards. But right through that central corridor, I think is going to be, an area that's going to, we're going to have to really work in because of the amount of population there. Unfortunately, the racial shifts that happen right through that central corridor, where you see a drastic change between the percentage per capita African-American population, white population, and also the income levels, and everything changes down through that central corridor. So I think one of the ways we can do it is set up 2 working groups within the committee, as a North Central and a South Central working group, and put in place some, a couple people that would be moderators for those groups and work with them to work out the dynamics of what those maps are going to look like, adhering to some of the things that we, number one, first and foremost, the things we have to adhere to legally, to meet our legal obligations so that we have a fair, equitable map in place that can withstand a court challenge. When you have something, when you're going through a process like we're going through right now, I think we have to almost be assured that we're going to have some challenge, no matter what it is at the end, some challenge happen to it. And then also some of those principles that we all would like to see achieved through the process. And part of what the moderators would do, the moderators would hold those groups accountable for those things. Part of what the groups would do would be to spend time with the various different people within those boundaries, right? And talk about some of the things that they'd like to see and like to achieve through it. And once we, after tomorrow, when we dive into the software, I think we're going to have everything that everybody needs to begin drawing some lines. And there are some ways within the software for us to do some draft things, right? For just, some working documents. It's not anything, those things aren't things that would be ready for prime time. And matter of fact, I think if you just put some draft thing up without understanding what you're actually looking at and some of the dynamics attached to it, and if you put it out in the public as, a potential map, I think that just creates all kinds of problems. So I think that's one of the things that I would like to see if we can do also. And then I have some other updates, but pitching that out.
That's fine. Actually, no, I was, we're on the same page. I was trying to break it down into, committees within our committee. We have a pretty much almost 50-50 breakdown of north-south, in our thing with a few of the aldermen right up the center. Moderators, I might, myself, and we could go by seniority, probably be the best way. Alderman Boyd and myself moderating, unless you wanted to take moderation, but I don't think that would be the position.
See, so
I probably leave you out of it.
Yeah. So in this case, if Alderman Boyd is part of one of the groups, he could not be a moderator. But here's what I recommend: someone who has been through this and has played that role very well is our clerk.
I was going to say, I smell a clerk coming up.
Yeah. And because you need, because part of what that moderator has to bring to the table is, that fairness, but also a deep understanding of the dynamics of all of what they're dealing with. So I think
he's been through more of these than any of us.
Yeah. So I think that yourself, yourself and, also the clerk would be good moderators.
Okay. No, that would work, and we could break down the. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The members of the committee where they would be. As far as their wards and.
But if we can get an official,
sure,
letter from your office, assigning them that task.
It's pretty simple, but I'll have that tomorrow when we start the meeting. I'll just give the committee assignments out, and that should be it's pretty easy. And because there's not much, and the other thing I wanted we need to go over is we are going to be doing public input, and I believe there's a portal we have available.
So Mary is ready to have that launch the portal, let's say end of the day Friday. What I'd like to see is if you could request from committee members and also any other member of the board or whatever that you feel fit, if you think that's a good idea, to submit any questions that they would like to have on their portal. And this portal would be for community input. So as we're going through this process, we will, make sure that we keep that portal out front and center so that they can, so that we can get information from it. And then the clerk would be able to access that portal and download and distribute information to the committee, as requested. And part of, I guess, we can do is at the beginning of every meeting, modify our agenda. So part of what's on every agenda is an update from what we received through the portal.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And then I believe, we could schedule, maybe in a week or so, schedule a public meeting that we can, either have, there's certain things that we need to address, or we can invite, or people who want to speak. We'll try and set that up also. But yeah, I believe first, you're correct. We would need to, and members of the committee, if you would like to come up with, we have till, I guess, you can and send them to me at any time via email. Things we would like to see on the portal. What would you like the public to address, or what we believe? And any members of the full board, if you're watching, please feel free to submit those also, so we can keep the public engaged and see what we need to cover here. At that point, we can go ahead and forward. As I'm talking, it's pretty clear as far as the South Central committee members would, actually be Vaccaro, Coder, Oldenburg, Martin, Navarro. We have the North Central, which would be Boyd, Davis, Pam Boyd, Middlebrook, and Muhammad, and Clark Hubbard. Did I miss somebody? I believe I got them all covered. But I think that's all self-explanatory, so we can do that. We will approach the clerk, see if this is. I don't know if I have the power as a chairman to appoint him as a moderator. I've never gone through that process.
You actually may have to do that at the end. I mean, he's been through this multiple times.
It might be good if we have subpoena power.
yeah. We may have to use something like that. He's been through this. I'm not sure he's gonna.
He probably became clerk to could avoid all this. So.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, and I want to just, and I keep, both you and I have said this multiple times, but I don't think we can say it enough. At the end of this, nobody's going to be happy through this process. So if you're going into it assuming that you're going to get everything you want, and I'm not going to support any map unless I have 100% of what I want. If that's your mindset, you need to resign from the committee and kind of not even participate in this process, because nobody gets that. This just is not in the cards. I know that that's not the way these committee members view it and see it. I think we have a great group here that has been able to show a willingness to step up and make those hard decisions and see beyond just their own personal thing. So that's your job right now, and it's going to be
No, I understand. Yeah, at the end of the day, when we get done with this, there's going to be, in 2023, there'll be 14 less wards, 14 less aldermen. So again, the insinuation that we're trying to do this to keep people elected is, you've been through this. I've been through this once. You've been through this a couple of times, 3, maybe 2, and it's not about calling an alderman into a room and saying, here's your ward, what would you like to do with it? Because we don't have any wards any longer. After this. So this is, I'm hoping the public and the people who are out there understand that this has not been done since 1914, when they came up with 28 wards. There was no incumbent sitting there saying, I want this and I want that. Here's a brand new layout, 14 wards, 14 aldermen. There could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 aldermen living in a new existing ward as we get done with this. So naturally, there are going to be unhappy people. But they say if you're not making someone unhappy, you're not doing your job correctly.
You have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And then, one more thing I want to make sure to get in here. So part of the community input piece, and the reason I want to throw this out there, because when I'm out in the community asks me, what role can and should the community play in this? One of the principal roles I think the community can and should play in this is to provide information like, for example, what things are important to you? What things, how do you think, we can increase efficiency? What types of things would you like to see in a final map? Those types of things. Now, also we know as those things go, there are, groups out there and quasi non-profit political groups that are, very adept at filling up, portals with canned letters and stuff from people where they're pushing a specific narrative. So, for the public, we want to see some real input. I think that also it's important that the public understands that the input that we're seeking is input that will help us do our job and draw a map and present a map as required by our charter by December 31st. So if there are groups out there that have people flooding our portal that's just saying, oh, you guys shouldn't draw a map, you should just let Prop or what is it, Prop R or whatever, do this thing, that's not information we can use. And that is in my estimation, that's just kind of a political organization thing. And we have to have information that'll help us come to a solid map that will serve the city of St. Louis for the next 10 years and lay the groundwork for the next 100 years.
Certainly. All right. What I'm going to do right now is just run through the committee and see if anybody has any questions or comments about this at this point, Mr. President. Alderman Bard, any questions or comments at this point?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you very much. Alderman Davis is not with us yet. Okay. Alderman Vaccaro, questions or comments, sir?
No questions or comments.
All right. Alderman Coder.
No questions.
All right, thank you. Alderman Pam Boyd.
No questions.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Alderman Overberg.
No, thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, thank you. Alderman Martin.
No, thank you.
Okay. Alderwoman Navarro.
No, thank you.
Okay. Alderman Middlebrook.
No questions. Thank you.
All right. Alderman Clark Hubbard.
No questions.
All right. Okay. You want to keep it sharp because it's going to be a long one tomorrow. I see what you're going to do. Mr. President, I guess I'll allow you to speak again, Mr. President. Go ahead. Unmute. You have to unmute.
Yeah, one last thing just to clear something up. The reason I said the Vice Chairman, Alderman Boyd, is because he would participate in a group, but unless you decide that he's not going to participate in the organization of that group side,
Well,
then
the clerk is a wealth of information. His experience is unparalleled. His tenure down here. It's a matter of if he was willing to participate, then I would welcome him very much. I believe everyone has respect for what is his knowledge. If it does not fit into his work schedule, or if there's something that prohibits him, then Alderman Barr would be the next person that I would call upon. And yes, I would then have to keep him out of the committee itself.
Yeah.
But we'll approach the clerk. We'll have handcuffs. We'll have a couple of sheriffs with us and tie him down.
Yeah. If he's trying to log in right now to speak, just block it. Just block him.
I think I heard him take off for Acapulco.
Yeah.
But,
all right. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
No worries. No thanks. I thank you all for coming to this. It's going to be short and sweet today. I just want to get this out of the way. So tomorrow we can get into the nuts and bolts. There's no need to go over any of this tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to hop right into the software. I like to keep things, keep everybody's attention span going. So, if there's no other closing remarks, I will we'll excuse the aldermen for necessary absence. I believe it's Alderwoman Davis and Alderman, I forgot, but all aldermen not present are excused for necessary absence. I take a roll call on that, or previous roll.
Previous roll.
All right.
Previous roll.
All right. Okay, with that, I can make a motion to adjourn until tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. That would be the 21st of October. And it's, my wife's gonna be mad because that's our anniversary tomorrow. So
Oh, man.
How many years?
32 years married.
Oh, very good.
All right.
Okay,
Okay, so-
I have a question. Do we need to keep adjourning these meetings or we just continue them? Because they're.
No, we have to adjourn.
We have to adjourn this. Yeah, we're adjourning.
Okay.
I know you like things to just go on forever.
No, I know, I'm saying a lot of meetings when they're on the same subject, we haven't.
Yeah, but yeah, I believe we're correct in adjourning those is my knowledge, and I believe we will keep that up. So with that, we will adjourn the meeting till tomorrow, October 21st, 11 a.m. Thank you all for participating. Look forward to the software meeting tomorrow. Thank you.